Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, movies, music, anime, comic books, food, whatever we're feeling at the time, really. My name is Dan with H, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Tavi. Hello, Tavi.
What's up, everyone? You've been watching a couple of films and posting them on the grams.
Yeah. Every Sunday, I like to do a little bit of just a quick little movie recommendation. I feel like Sunday night is a really good night for just chilling at home and watching a film. So, yeah, I've been doing that lately, posting whatever film has come up on our radar, our collective radar. You've given a couple of recommendations as well.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, Hand-Rolled Cigarette was one of yours.
Yeah, it's pretty good movie. It's kind of on that like noir and noir drama. Pretty cool movie that I just stumbled upon on Netflix, and I've been watching a fair few like Taiwanese movies, which I might talk about at some point. Been having a bit of a horror
kick,
classic horror mood. I watched Hellraiser and Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time.
Oh, for the first time. Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't seen those movies.
Okay,
yeah. I still remember those movies kind of being like video nasties, the ones that you kind of like walk past at Blockbuster.
Yeah, I
you
think
kind of
they
look
probably
at the
were like out around the time we were too young to watch those kinds of films, yeah?
Yeah. I'd always just look at the boxes and be like, oh, that looks really scary.
Really scary.
Like, very, very terrifying.
Yeah, Pinhead, man, he's terrifying.
Yeah. It's definitely like dated by today's standard, but it gives it its own charm. Yeah, they're both like good movies. The special effects of the time, but they're actually really well done, especially Hellraiser. Like, I really like the special effects in that movie.
I mean, that's like...
It's kind of like the thing.
It's all about the costuming, right? And the creature design in that film.
Yeah.
A lot of practical stuff going on in the face area, I guess.
Yeah. There's a pretty cool sequence that involves, like, one of the guys... I guess he's coming back to life and his, like, flesh is slowly reattaching to himself, and it, like, really reminded me of The Thing. And I thought, that's pretty good. And there's only, like, $1 million budget back in 87, which I don't know, might have been like high. $10 million to inflation.
It's not nothing.
So, yeah. And I think that the acting and the story is like, it's pretty camp. Like, there's a lot of like characters making bad decisions.
Sure.
But it's just like, you know, it's just an enjoyable
trope of the genre, I think.
Yeah.
At that time. Would you say you enjoyed more than The Thing?
Nah, The Thing holds up really, really well. Great chemistry amongst the crew. Still very tense, and the decisions in that movie like make sense. The thing is like a masterpiece. Hellraiser's all right. I'd probably give it like 3.5 stars. But like, yeah, it's all about the special effects. But you watched a horror movie recently and posted about it.
I did, yeah. A girl walks home alone at night.
Yeah, that movie's been on my radar for a little while, but I haven't seen it yet.
Good,
but,
man. Yeah, you should get on it.
Yeah, you put that on the grams, and we got a bit of a nod from Spectavision, one of the companies that made the movie, and that's really cool.
Yeah, they sent us a nice message thanking us for sharing their film. So shout out to Spectavision. Yeah, big fan of their work, especially Mandy. I really like Mandy.
Yeah, Mandy is fucking awesome. I remember watching that at MIF. Yeah, I had a really good time. It's probably one of the best Nicolas Cage movies.
It's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies. And if you guys know how much I enjoy Nicolas Cage, that's a very high compliment.
For me, it's like a good like group viewing movie. It's artistic enough to satisfy a little bit of my wanky tastes, but it's also
very
just
entertaining.
Got, like, one-ton violence.
Yeah.
It's Spectavision is like Elijah Wood's company. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for the nod. I mean, we're a pretty small podcast. We've been doing this for 6 months now. Like, I was just looking at the channel before, like, damn, it's half a year. But yeah, it's cool to kind of get some recognition from like names and stuff that I don't know. Because sometimes I'm telling you like, who's this guy? And you're like, I don't know. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That we've got a little bit of a very small fan base that enjoys listening to us just talk shit.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, sticking to the horror and monsters theme, even though what we're covering today, it's not really horror, but it has elements of it.
It can be a little bit scary sometimes. We're talking about the anime Demon Slayer, or Kimetsu no Yaiba.
It's the very indie, unknown anime.
Yes.
Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about the anime exclusively because we haven't read the manga, and we never will. I fucking hate reading manga. I just don't. I'm not really a manga reader generally.
I read manga pretty often.
Is it when you get impatient on waiting for the anime to come out?
No, I've been reading a lot of like offshoot manga from like one-time smaller volume manga. So I was reading Solanin today, which is like based off a movie that I watched a few years back, and it's just like one book. But yeah, we're not really talking about manga at the moment.
No, we're going to be talking about the anime, and we're going to be talking heavy spoilers. For this
so this
anime.
is going to be spoilers. So if you I mean, if you're a Demon Slayer fan, you probably would have watched it by now.
Yeah, the second season wrapped up a while ago, right? Like a month ago almost now.
Yeah, about a month ago. Yeah. And Mugen Train came out last year, which was in my top movie list. Yeah, Demon Slayer. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I mean the anime first aired in September 2019. And as you said, the Mugen Train movie premiered in October 2020, and it became the highest-grossing anime film and Japanese film of all time.
Yeah, it's definitely popular. Like, do we even really need to give a brief recap? I think it's very simple.
Yeah.
Was it Tanjiro Kamado? His family is murdered by demons. He gets pissed off, and then he joins the Demon Slayer cause. If you've seen any shonen anime, it's basically that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to work up to...
Just get stronger to be able to kill stronger demons. But he's also got his sister Nezuko, who has inadvertently been transformed into a demon. So while he is trying to... He does join the Demon Slayer Corps to kill demons. He's also looking for a cure for his sister. I mean, killing the demons is almost a secondary to him. Right? The primary objective for him is to find out if he can get a cure for his sister. So, how about we just kind of go through it in kind of chronological order and talk about how we felt about each kind of section or arc of the anime. Yeah. So let's start with the final selection arc. So this is the very start of the anime from episode 1. The setup is pretty much completed by the end of episode 1. Tanjiro's family is introduced and killed off in the first episode. His sister Nezuko turns into a demon, and he's also introduced to the first member of the Demon Slayer Corps that we see, which is Giyu.
Yeah, he's the dude with the kind of like the Tengo mask looking one, right?
No, he's the water Hashira. We learn later that he's the water Hashira. He's the guy with the long hair.
And he's supposed to have been like only a demon slayer for like 2 months, and he's already like
he's like a genius swordsman or something. He was trained by the guy with the Tengu mask, Kodaki. But he meets Tanjiro after Tanjiro's family has been killed. And because his job is to slay demons, obviously he goes for Nezuko, who has been transformed into a demon. But through Tanjiro's like demeanor and his begging, I guess, and also through Nezuko like protecting Tanjiro when really he should be trying to eat him, Giyu decides to spare their lives and sends them to Urokodaki for training. What do you think about this setup? Were you hooked from the get-go?
Well, actually, to be honest, when I heard a lot about Demon Slayer before watching it, it would have been like 2 years ago now. I'd heard like rave reviews, and it's like one of the best anime in recent years. So, yeah, when I was first watching it, it actually took me a little while to get into. I didn't necessarily binge it. I think it was on Netflix. Yeah, I was watching it like here and there, and to be honest, at first I wasn't that into it because when I was watching it, I'm like, this is fairly like generic anime, fairly generic shonen anime. And like the animation is really good in the show, for sure. Like all the fight sequences are great. But I wasn't particularly drawn to the art style, if you know what I mean.
That kind of like cell shaded look?
No, it's just like it's...
Or the character design, you mean?
I guess it would be like the character design and maybe even... No, I do like cell shade. I think it's just like it looked just kind of...
Generic?
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Seen this style.
I think that's mainly in the character design, though. Because I felt the same way when I first watched it. I was like, well... Because, like I think both you and I got to it pretty late. And after hearing like rave reviews from a lot of anime fans, and when I first watched it, I was like, oh, I mean, I don't really see what kind of sets this apart from anything else that I've seen.
Yeah.
So like the mangaka, Koyoharu Gotouge, he said that, you know, he's inspired by, or this series was inspired by Bleach, Naruto, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Isn't the mangaka a girl? Like the original mangaka?
Is it? I've only got one name here, Koyoharu Gotouge.
I remember reading that. Let's check this before we get cancelled. Because I remember reading somewhere that it was a girl. Yeah. Despite the fact that Kiyoharu Gotouge has not uncovered their gender and just uses they/them pronouns, a weekly Shonen Jump worker unveiled that the creator is a woman.
Oh, okay.
However, any verified sources haven't covered the details of the artist's gender.
Well, that's interesting. Well, Gotouge, I mean, whatever gender they choose to identify as, they've said that this series was inspired by works like Bleach, Naruto, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So, I mean, I've watched Bleach and Naruto, and I mean, it was a while ago, but I enjoyed both of those. So when I first watched Kimetsu no Yaiba, I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's good, but it didn't feel like it hooked me as much as those other works.
Yeah, you kind of outgrown it a little bit by then.
That's right.
I think if I was back in high school and I came across Demon Slayer, I would have loved it instantly because I was just discovering that story. But it took me a little bit to get into. Even like by the end of season 1, just like jumping up a bit, I was still like, it's pretty good, but like it's not that good. You know, I didn't. Right. I wasn't super in love with it. I'd still recommended it. Like, I was still very entertained by it. But, like, before, like, it hadn't reached the echelons of Mugen Train and Season 2, which we'll talk a bit later about.
I mean, a lot happens in the first season. Like, you said you didn't even realize that it was split into so many arcs compared to the second season. Yeah, I mean, I kind of... agree with you. Like I watched the first episode and then I kind of put it down for a long time. I was like, oh, yeah, this is all right, but don't really feel the need to watch it.
Until this podcast.
Well, I also got COVID. So I watched a lot of this while I had COVID, actually. You know, I think it just that I had to build momentum. With a lot of these kind of shows, like once I get momentum going, I tend to just kind of binge watch them because like episodes are quite short. Anime episodes are quite short.
And 20 minutes average.
Yeah, and sometimes not a lot happens in one episode. Like I'm watching another series, Attack on Titan at the moment, and I'm watching it like week by week, and it's kind of excruciating. Like you wait a week to watch this 20-minute episode, and then when you watch it, like nothing really happens. And you know, I'm like, oh God. Got to wait another week for it. And now I have to wait another year, apparently, for it to fucking end.
Well, we can talk about that in the Attack on Titan episode.
It's frustrating.
But yeah, like, you've got, like, all the arcs that are listed here. And as you mentioned, I didn't realize there were that many arcs. But, like, I can't really remember specific fights per se. I know there was like the Spider Dude fight, which was episode 19, and that apparently set the internet on fire. But I don't think I'd watched it at the time to see that reaction. But yeah, like a lot of it, like I thought the fight, like the animation was good, but it would only be for like a single moment where like the animation or the choreography of the fight was like really flashy. And even because I think like this was the first season, like they don't know it's going to be that popular. Now, like post Mugen Train, this is like we got something fucking good, so they've just like thrown all their money into the fucking action sequences. Gone all in.
Yeah, I feel like the action sequences definitely get better as the anime progresses, but that's not uncommon for a lot of shonen anime.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't released the episode yet, but if you're comparing like the animation between Tokyo Revengers and it's like it's night and day, levels. Really. Like I when I was like, if I watched season 1 of Demon Slayer again, I'd be like, man, I'm spoiled, you know, for good animation.
I think not even the fight scenes. Like in general, it feels like it's got pretty high production values. Even the first season, I think, like all the arcs kind of they are quite short, but they do build up to like a boss fight in each of the arcs. Like there's the final selection arc where he has to go through that trial in the forest, and he fights that massive like demon.
Does he fight that blob?
The blob demon with lots of like stretchy arms. And then there's like the kidnapper's bog arc where he fights that demon that can go through walls and into the floor and stuff.
One of them is like a chick that like throws balls or something.
No, that's the Asakusa arc. So that's when they go to Asakusa for the first time, which I really enjoyed actually. Like a lot of what I enjoyed in the first season was more to do with the setting and like the time period. I think it's a really interesting time period that they've chosen to focus on. Like it's set during the Taisho period, which came directly after the Edo period.
Do you think that's why it's so acclaimed in Japan? It is because it's really set in its Japanese roots, which is really cool. Yeah,
I think there aren't as many properties that take place during this time. Like it's not a very long period of time, but it is very distinct from the Edo period. Like you've got anime, a lot of animes, a lot of things in general are set during that Edo period. Like Samurai Champloo is set during the Edo period, which is one of your favorite animes. But you can really tell like the difference between the Taisho period, like the difference in technology and the Western influences during the Taisho period.
It's like it's just starting, Like, I mean, you see Muzan, he's like wearing a suit.
He's looking very dapper.
Why do you think this anime is so popular in the world? Like, why is this the number one anime, aside from probably fighting or clawing that spot with Attack on Titan?
I don't know. I feel like it's probably got something to do with the aesthetic. Just really appeals to people of like this generation of anime viewers. And I do feel like the Japanese audience kind of gravitates towards it because it does kind of have like a historical aspect to it. It's kind of a really good mix of style and substance, I think. Yeah,
because this anime is not just popular with a general audience, but it's also popular amongst the anime community. And as we were saying before, like at first when I watched it, and I think I knew a couple of other people who had similar opinions to us, that at first we thought it was pretty generic. We didn't really know why this anime was so popular. And even for me, I probably didn't get that answer until I watched Mugen Train. Because, I wouldn't really know either why this particular anime is so popular. I think it is probably just the aesthetic. Like, it's really beautifully animated and
kind of stylish too. Like, the clothes that the characters wear. Like, it's pretty of this time period. Like, that really cool, trendy look. I'm talking about, like, their the outerwear, because like the innerwear that the demon core wear, like that black uniform kind of thing. I mean, that's like most people will probably think about like school uniforms when they see that. Yeah.
Yes, the Demon Slayer drip. Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be reflective of military wear, though. I think, but yeah, like the clothes that they wear outside of it is like everyone has kind of a unique kimono. Yeah, they just look really cool. Like compared to what the Bleach characters wear, where they're kind of all wearing the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
There's a bit of like more individualism, I think.
I think the thing as well, it is the storytelling, because the plot is pretty simple in Demon Slayer.
The themes as well are pretty shonen.
But I think what I really like about anime storytelling, even if it is exposition heavy, and there is a lot of like giving everyone a backstory, I think they are like the messages that come with the show. Like you get the message of like, I mean, never giving up. Sure, you've seen it 1,000 times, but I think it's just the way that it is shown in Demon Slayer is quite earnest. Usually I wouldn't even like a character like Tanjiro, but his just sheer will power, I think he's a great model for people.
I'm still a bit on the fence about Tanjiro. He's a bit too much. He's a bit too shonen for my liking.
I think what I like about Tanjiro, though, is that he's an active protagonist. Like, he is pretty much in the midst of all the fights, and he actually does stuff. Again, I'm not sure, we haven't released the episode yet, but compared to like Tokyo Revengers, I don't remember the main character in that show, but he's just getting beaten up all the time, and not really contributing to, I guess, the fights. Just the pep talks.
I mean, I found that interesting because, like, generally shonen main characters do get stronger and win fights, but the Tokyo Revengers character just doesn't seem to get any stronger, which I found an interesting angle. But yeah, you're right. Like, Tanjiro is there are a lot of times in the first season, especially, where like he'd be fighting someone that just seems way out of his league, and like the Demon Core are like kind of on the way. So you assume the Demon Slayer Core are gonna save him, but you know he just finds a way to win the fight. Which, it did keep me on the edge of my seat, and it was good to see somebody that actually could win fights.
What do you think about the supporting characters, especially Zenitsu and Inosuke?
I actually welcomed them, because I was getting really tired of Tanjiro, because he meets Tamayo and Yushiro, but they kind of like disappear quickly. A lot of the time, it's just the Tanjiro and Nezuko show, and I was okay. I'm kind of ready for like some energy, some new like energy. So when Zenitsu and Inosuke come, they're pretty annoying, but they're like entertaining as well.
At first, I thought they were a little bit annoying, but I actually really like them.
I feel like them.
I feel like Tanjiro needs them. I like their comic relief, but I also like how they contribute as well. They're not just thrown away.
They're not weaklings either.
Yeah, especially some parts within the second season where I was like, oh shit, like I didn't expect like this to happen. Even though there was like some points where it's like it was kind of thrown away with like the typical, I just did this technique, so I'm fine thing.
Are you talking about Zenitsu's falling asleep, or
No. I'm talking about when, I mean, we already mentioned spoilers. I'm talking about when the dude in the second season, the brother, I forgot his name, even though I watched it last night.
The brother,
the upper six.
Sure.
Yeah. The poison dude with all the.
I see what you mean. Inosuke
so when he
like stops the poison or something.
He suddenly stabs Inosuke in the heart. Like it's like, oh shit, like But then like you see, Inosuke is not gonna die. But like I was worried for his character. I was like, oh shit, like that's you. It's such a stark contrast to see. But then he's like, nah, I'm really good at like moving my organs.
Yeah.
So like,
Inosuke pulled a lot of shit out of his ass, like in that in that section. There's a part where he like, it's a really funny part where he finds like a tunnel, like a small tunnel.
Yeah, and he dislocates his arms and he's just like
around,
like slithering through the tunnel.
And it's just kind of explained that he lived in the mountains, so he's able to do that.
I'm sure. I think they use the exact same reason that Inosuke was. He just moved his organs.
Yeah, and he's immune to poison just because he lived in the mountains. Like, he can do all this ludicrous stuff. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's kind of a trope of the genre as well.
It is. I think I, like, let it go because... I mean, if we're already, like, I know you got all these questions written here, but we're just moving to that scene. It's just so, that, like, those last 3 or 4 episodes, it's like, man. And this is, when you were talking about Mugen Train in our best of list, like, do you think the budget was just because it's a movie? I think because Mugen Train was so successful, they're like, oh, fuck, yeah, let's just fucking chuck all our money into the animation here. And I'm so glad that they did do that. And you've got written here, do we think that making Mugen Train arc as a movie was a smart idea? I probably wouldn't have thought initially, but I think in the end it was a very good idea because obviously it's the highest grossing Japanese film of all time.
Definitely a gamble that paid off for them. Because I'm not sure how successful the first season was. Obviously, it did well enough for them to justify making a movie.
Oh, I think it was really successful. Like, I just read a couple of articles and skimmed them, but there was, it's like everyone loves it over there. Like, all ages. It's like it's an all ages event.
But it's still like a ballsy move to just make the first part of your second season a movie, like a cinematic release only.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got a lot of potential to just alienate a lot of your audience just by doing that.
Yeah, but then they released it as a 9 episode.
They did, yeah. Eventually they released it as which again, it's like, that as well is also a ballsy move. You know, because like, imagine if you'd watched the movie and you're like, all right, I can't wait to see what happens next, and then you have to wait for like 9 episodes of the anime that you've already seen to pass by. Like, that would be super annoying. But like, for me, somebody that just binge watched it all, like, obviously it's not only a time saver for me to just watch a movie rather than 7 episodes of an anime. But yeah, it was just a really good time as well. You said you watched the movie and the episodes, so the Mugen Train arc movie as well as the episodes. But the production values are pretty much the same, right?
There's a little bit of extended story at the first episode, but it's really not important. Like, it's a side arc that involves like Rengoku helping out like this bento box lady and her daughter, and then like this demon's about to like kill the mother, but Rengoku's like being all cool, being a sick cunt, and like kills a demon, and it's like, oh, thanks, man. And he's like, yeah, it's all good. And that's why he's eating a lot of like lunch boxes on the train, because like they just like overcompensated him. So yeah, there you go. You got the story of the lunch boxes.
I always wondered why he was eating so many lunch boxes.
But yeah, after that, from what I can tell, it's a beat for beat, exactly the same animation, just like edited in 7 episode or 9 episode format or whatever.
Sure.
But the production values just remain the same.
I mean, and that makes sense as well, because, you know, why would you make your anime any less than the movie that you've already made? You know.
I'm not sure if Mugen Train was meant to be just a movie, and then they just, you know, they can condense the team and focus on the animation. I guess that's why, like, the Entertainment District arc is only 11 episodes, and they can just like focus on just really telling, like, again, a pretty simple story, but just focus on the way it's told. And I did like the brother and the sister, the Upper Six Demon. I liked their little story, even after they were killed. Like, you kind of do feel bad for them a little bit. And they do that a lot in the show. like kind of make you feel bad for the demons a little bit, which is
I think that's a strength of Tanjiro's character specifically because of his situation with Nezuko being a demon. Like, he's got a lot of sympathy for the demons, and because the story is told from his point of view, the viewer also feels a lot of sympathy for the demons. Like, pretty much every demon that he slays, he like has a moment where it turns out they're actually not that guy, that bad person.
They used to be, Even if they were like pretty bad people, they're definitely empathetic people. Like the brother, I think he was just like, beaten up by his mum, and then he was like shunned by the town for being ugly and smelly, and then like he just loved his sister so much that he like would do all this like bad stuff to help her out, and like beat up people. It's obviously not the right thing to do, but maybe the necessary thing at the time. It's all he could do, really.
Yeah.
So it kind of just goes beyond like what is like good and bad for him. Like his situation may not have led him to be a good person because like he just didn't get the chance to. So it's like, it's all society's fault.
Yeah. I like the idea of humanizing the demons, but I don't know, like to me, sometimes, like you did mention, there's some flashback scenes and stuff, and a lot of the flashbacks have to do with the demons, and sometimes they happen like directly after they've been killed by Tanjiro or been killed by the Demon Slayer Corps. Like, they'll kill the demon and then they'll have like a backstory of the demon that has just been killed. So I was like, oh, is this really necessary? Like, we're never going to see this character again.
I think you're right. And I think that's just an anime thing to like have filler. It's weird because anime is extremely expository. Like, even during a fight scene, there will be giving out backstory.
They'll be explaining the techniques that they're going to use to defeat the foes before.
And it's weird because, like, it's in storytelling that is like considered a really bad way to tell a story, but it just works in anime. I mean, maybe it doesn't always work, but you kind of forgive it, I guess. You still enjoy the show, and I wonder why, because like there's a lot of tonal shifts as well,
which is not always a good thing either. Like, it's almost never a good thing in like mainstream media. Like, if you watch a movie with like where the tone is just all over the place, you're gonna be like really thrown off, right? But in anime, like, they can kind of get away with having like really violent sections and then just really like comical sections.
A lot of Demon Slayer are like, I was like laughing out loud. The jokes aren't even particularly well structured as a joke, but the animation just looks really funny. It's just like, I can't help but laugh. Like, you're talking about Inosuke like slithering through the through the tunnel, and there's a bit where like I think Inosuke or Zenitsu are explaining like the ranking system and how they're like becoming a higher rank, and it shows like their faces like on a graph. And then there's like an argument between the faces on the graph. And I thought that was really funny. Zenitsu's like horniness, I find pretty funny.
Yep.
And especially when he's arguing with Uzai, when he's talking about his polygamy. And there's just like this, these kind of outbursts. And I find it all pretty funny. And a lot of people, some people don't like that aspect of the show that I've seen some reviewers talk about. It can get a bit much, but I don't know. I always like have a smile on my face. I think there was only one time where I thought they shouldn't have put a joke, really, is when there's a bit where like Tanjiro is kind of near mortally wounded, and then that's when the episode ends. But then they do those like preview episodes, and then like things, Nezuko like starts telling the story about Tanjiro while he's like, basically petrified, and then it's like, you probably should have just left the episode as a cliffhanger and not done that. I think that was the only time I thought, okay, that's the jokes are a bit too much. But otherwise, I kind of, well, even during the fight scenes where things seem dire, and they kind of just, the animation style changes and they just will like throw a quiff. It's weird because I usually hate that shit. Like
generally hate it. Like Shang-Chi is vegetarian or beef joke really threw you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I forgive it maybe because it is anime and it kind of just suits. But I don't know. Like, what did you think about like that mixture of humor and violence? I suppose.
I have to agree. Like, I didn't mind it at all. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's so jarring. Like, it's a bigger contrast than the humor you'd find in like a Marvel property, because it is animated. It's just so silly looking. when it happens.
Let's not just bash Marvel. I mean, I watched Red Notice a couple weeks ago.
Okay, sure. Let's bash Hollywood in general then, instead of just Marvel. Sorry, Marvel fans.
Sorry,
but all Hollywood movies stink equally.
Oh, dude. Diverging a bit, and we've already covered it, but Red Notice was like worse than I could have imagined.
Man. I told you, it's terrible.
Oh, it's so bad. When they did the twist reveal, I was just like, I knew it was going to happen. I'm like, this movie fucking sucks. And then I gave it 1 out of 5, and then that was it. Worst thing
Get
ever.
ready for 4 sequels, Tavi.
But as you were saying, the contrast is just not.
It's big enough. It's like overt to the point where you just kind of have to shrug and go along with it. Like you can't help but smile. Well, I couldn't help but smile anyway.
For Demon Slayer.
For Demon Slayer. Not Red Notice. I wasn't smiling during Red Notice. I think I watched the movie with just a prolonged scowl on my face. I don't know. Anime kind of gets a pass. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird, and you can't really explain it. I
don't
think
know if it's biased. It might be biased, but
it probably could be because we're kind of just used to it. I think it just works because it is essentially a cartoon, you know. But that's another thing I wanted to bring up to you as well. Like Demon Slayer, compared to let's say Naruto and Bleach, does not shy away from its violence. But I wouldn't say it's a particularly violent anime either, because like in Japan, kids of all ages watch it, you know, and their parents let them watch it as well. But there's some pretty brutal stuff in there, like when the brother breaks Tanjiro's fingers.
They kept focusing on it for a lot. Like every scene, it was like this purple mutilated finger. Like I'm pretty sure it was intentional that like every shot had the finger in it. I couldn't help but notice it.
A very heavy. It's like the decay. It looked like a decaying zombie finger.
It was gross.
Almost. It did look pretty gross. And like,
but even before that, like all the spider stuff, like with the baby heads with spider legs, and there's a lot of like grotesque stuff in it for, I guess what you'd consider a kids show. Since kids watch it.
Yeah. But in Australia, it's an MA rated product. So it's like 15 plus only. Right. But like, I feel like if you showed this to a kid, they probably wouldn't be too perturbed by it. I think it's a good gateway into like more mature content. Like, do you think maybe particularly in the West that kids can watch this, or there hasn't been too much of an uproar about the violence? There has been uproar, but we'll get to that later. I feel like the kids in Australia are doing worse on the streets than what's contained in this anime. Do you think it's the stigma that because it is a cartoon that it's like not as bad? Oh yeah, like obviously, if it was a live-action property, it would be considered more gruesome just because, like, you know, it's more real than animation. The violence in anime especially is quite stylized. And I think the fact as well that they are monsters rather than, like, people, I think that helps as well. Like, when a demon gets decapitated, you know, they turn to black dust.
it's one of those things. I wouldn't be surprised if it aired on Cheese TV or something along those lines that it would be censored, because even like things like One Piece and Dragon Ball Z was censored when they came to the West.
But I think Demon Slayer is violent to the point where you can't censor it. Like, you can't just say, oh yeah, that demon was banished to the spirit realm and get away with not saying, I'm going to end you, or I'm going to make sure that you never hurt anyone again. It's, I'm going to kill you, and my intent is to kill you. And
Tanjiro's finger is just sprained. He's just a bit cold.
It's not like the demons can say, oh, I survived by feasting on the fear of people. It's, I survived because I eat and kill these people.
Sure.
And like, there's a particularly gruesome scene in season 2. It's during the backstory of the upper sixth brother, and when he meets one of the 12 Kizuki demons, that guy's just like casually eating like the head of a woman, and he's like got like the body parts like in a backpack, and I was like, wow, it's pretty violent. I was thinking. So like it's interesting because like we've brought this topic up before, the stigma of animation, whether it's for kids or for adults. And this is like something else that the Oscars kind of butchered during their best animated speech, where they kind of had the 3 Disney princesses, and they're saying like, oh yeah, these are the kind of movies that parents would put on so their kid could shut up, kind of thing. Paraphrasing, but like, yeah, it's the way that animation is seen is still like just for kids. And some people have like spoken out about that particular incident. They're like, man, like you really need to learn that animation is as filmic and as cinematic as live action, which is why it's insulting when the eventual Netflix Demon Slayer live action adaptation will come out. And it's like, oh yeah, this is the more mature version because it's live action. Yeah. When it'd be like the lesser version, you know. But like Demon Slayer is a phenomenon because everyone likes it. Kids like it, adults like it. Fucking, I'm sure grandmas will like it, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I don't know about showing this kind of anime to kids because
I would. Yeah, I'd watch it, man.
I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty violent. It's a little bit scary sometimes.
No, I just want to watch it, man.
Yeah, I guess
you got to desensitize them.
That's true. I mean, you yourself, you watched Predator when you were like 8.
Oh yeah, I was like 5 or 6.
And you're fine, right, Tommy? Yeah, absolutely well adjusted.
If you're a kid and you got something like Demon Slayer, like just show it to your kids, man.
I mean, maybe the humor in it is enough to kind of counterbalance the violence and the more adult themes in it. Maybe that's the key to its like massive appeal, is because like there'll be a scene where they're chopping a demon's head off, but then the next scene will be Zenitsu like hitting on someone overtly. You know, maybe it's like they don't linger too much on either thing, that the kids can kind of see this kind of violent act, but then in the next couple of minutes they'll see something that'll make them laugh. Maybe that's what the key is just that perfect balance, that perfect storm of randomness.
I wanted to compare like Mugen Train and the Entertainment District arc, because you got a couple of questions here in terms of action sequences and themes. I ultimately like Mugen Train a little bit more because of the themes, like the whole dream sequence stuff.
You did mention during your best of list that you were drawn to that particular narrative.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, Eternal Sunshine on the Spotless Mind is one of my favorite movies. So it kind of reminded me of that. Like, you know, you kind of wanting to live in bliss, but it just can't be that way. I think I like Mugen Train a little bit more, but like, the action sequences in Entertainment District, man, it's just like
pretty neck level.
Yeah, like I was thinking, like I think it was maybe episode 6 and 7 in Entertainment District. We were like, oh, Mugen Train's probably a little bit better, even action sequences. And then, like, UFO table were like, just wait, man. And then I was like, oh!
I think a lot of people felt that way, like judging from the internet. Yeah, I don't know. Like I liked Mugen Train a lot as well. I liked Rengoku as a supporting character. I found him a bit stronger than Tengen.
I think so too. Rengoku's probably a little bit of a better character. Yeah.
Yeah, like even the ending of his arc is it was so good. Like the resolution of his fight with that demon, the upper six guy.
Yeah, that was a very powerful moment.
Yeah, hard to top that. But probably the antagonists, I think, of the Entertainment District were better than in the Mugen Train arc. The Mugen Train arc had this weird emo kid for an antagonist.
I like the emo kid. I think the voice actor was having a lot of fun. As well as the upper six brother.
I would have liked to see more of the dream sequences fleshed out a bit. You don't really get to see like anything about Zenitsu's, and Inosuke's one is just like a dank cave thrown away or whatever.
While it was funny, on like thinking about it, it's kind of a throwaway really, because there's obviously something going on with Zenitsu, because his power is that when he's asleep, he's the most powerful.
Yeah.
And Inosuke is probably, I don't know, maybe they don't want to make Inosuke too deep, because like he's basically just a brute with a really pretty face.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll develop some of that stuff later on. Like, it would have been nice to have some kind of nods towards Zenitsu's mysterious sleeping disorder.
They probably will.
Yeah.
Like, there's still quite a bit of arcs. I don't know how many there are left.
Because, like, Tanjiro's dream, I found very, like, predictable. We know he loves his family. We know that he wants to live with, like, it didn't really tread on any new ground for like me as the viewer. So it just felt like kind of another flashback scene.
But I think with anime is very predictable, especially shonen anime, which is probably the issue we had with it being so generic at first, is because, I mean, Tanjiro is not going to die.
Yeah.
Like, there's even they kind of almost had me, like, the bit where, like, he's basically paralyzed, and, like, you see Zenitsu is, like, being smothered by a fucking building. He can't get out, and, like, Inosuke's been, well, at that point, stabbed in the heart, but not really. Yeah. And you see the remains of Uzai. He's got no fucking hand. He's got his hand cut off. Like, Jesus Christ. But, like, he's going to get out somehow. That's the same with, like, Naruto or Bleach, It's very predictable.
I think the fun of it is, like, finding out how they get out of that situation a lot of the time. Because it does usually involve, like, them using their wits over their power. Like, sometimes they'll, like, unlock a new power level that they didn't have before. But in... in this one, he kind of does that as well with his sun breathing technique that he unlocks when he's fighting the spider guy. But yeah, it's kind of a good mix of, like, sometimes he uses his brain as well. Like, when he tricks the brother-sister duo after he gets his finger broken. Like, so gross.
And he's, like, hugging, like, Nezuko. And you just see his finger in the brain.
It's, like, flopping around.
Oh, man.
You should put some ice on that.
It didn't even look like it looked like they, like, had been frostbitten or something. Like, it looked really, like, I know if you get your fingers broken, it wouldn't look as grotesque as that. Yes. I think, like, Tanjiro's fingers were just, like, a character in itself at that point.
I couldn't help but look at them.
Like, even like, in the wide shots where you can see you can still see his fingers.
It's so purple. I mean, for me, like, the Entertainment District arc got off to a rocky start, I think. Like, the introduction of Tengen and his wives, I was like, what? What? He's got many wives? Is that a mistranslation? But no, they're just, cool with polygamy, which, is of the time, I guess. But I was just surprised that they chose to, like, focus on it so much in this, like, modern anime.
I guess that can lead on to the more controversial aspects of this
the
anime.
entertainment district.
And it's not the violence. It's not the beheading of people. It's not the rotten, broken fingers. And it is the... well, actually, one which I didn't notice, was surprised I wasn't commented on, which about Tengen, is when you first see him. And he needs... like 2 women to go undercover, basically, but you don't know it at this point. So he's just like carrying these 2 women, and like Tanjiro, and it's the I don't know their characters' names, but they're just like the healers or something.
Yeah.
At the temple or wherever, the healing center. I'm very knowledgeable on this anime. You can tell.
You just watched it as well. That's cool. Go on. We know who you're talking about.
So, like, he's carrying them, and then, like, Tanjiro and Ko convince him to let them go. And then he's like, yeah, all right. Before he puts the girl down, he, like, slaps her ass. And then just... and for it would not have added or changed anything if they didn't have that. But he just slaps her ass and then like puts her down. And I was like, oh, that's I wonder why this guy wasn't cancelled yet.
And this is a character that I guess we're supposed to like. Like by the end of the arc, certainly we're supposed to like him. I guess at that point, maybe we weren't supposed to like him, and maybe that was just another way for them to reinforce that this guy is not a great guy.
I think they're trying to enforce that he's a bit of a playboy because
of the wives,
polygamy.
I don't know. I just found it a bit of a strange choice.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But I guess that can be said of this arc in general. Like it is called the Entertainment District arc, but the Japanese name for it is Yukaku. In the English version, they've chosen to translate that as Entertainment District, but it's kind of like Red Light District. Yeah, more like Red Light District or Pleasure District.
Yeah, because it's basically where the bulk of this arc is showing that aspect of Japanese culture, which is like the geisha culture. Yeah,
it's set in the Yoshiwara Entertainment District, which is a big red light district during the Genroku and Taisho period. Yeah, it's kind of like I want to say kind of a morally corrupt area, I guess. There's different standards for different time periods, but because this anime is like such a new anime, to kind of like portray this side of Japan and this area in Japan as like the way they do, it's a bit of a... I didn't really quite know how to feel about it. Like, do you think the show kind of glamorizes that side of Japanese history a bit too much?
I think it glamorizes as much as any other Japanese product, because I think Japanese people are kind of proud of that part of history.
And it is a part of their history, right?
It is very distinctly Japanese. And if that source is correct, about the mangaka being a woman, she chose to portray this district as it is, And I don't think she was, or they were trying to portray it in any like glamorous or unglamorous way. I think they were setting it as a backdrop to a part of their history.
Well, like when they first arrived there, they're like going, wow, this place is amazing. I guess.
But I think that's like what most people probably think.
Yeah.
But then I think they do actually go into the,
the darker side
kind of the darker side of things.
Sure. Yeah, they do eventually, I guess. Like when they're talking about the runaway, the runaways, and basically how these women are kind of treated as property. They don't focus on it that much. I
don't think that's really... it would probably detract from it.
Yeah, it's not really what they're on about, right? They're more about the demons.
It's not the show is not a political statement by any means.
Yeah.
Which probably upsets some people.
Yeah, I know. Like, I guess I pose this question because, like, when I I read something about when this arc's first episode aired, the Edo Tokyo Museum in Ueno, they sent out a tweet along with a photo of a piece of artwork from the Genroku period depicting Yoshiwara. And the tweet was hashtag with Kimetsu no Yaiba and said something along the lines of like, Yoshiwara has recently made appearances in modern media such as Kimetsu no Yaiba. Please admire this glamorous and glittering world. And yeah, people got upset by it. I guess the choice of words is what people got upset by. Yeah, like people got angry, like calling it insensitive to the victims of like past atrocities. And then the Edo Tokyo Museum quickly issued an apology.
Yeah, I think that was probably a bad call on their part. They're probably just like trying to bank on Kimetsu no Yaiba as quickly as they can, and then fully just like, oh, quick, tweet it. I think that happens a lot in the information era of tweets and hashtags and grams.
Yeah, it could have been a bit hasty on their part. But I mean, like that said, it's for all its negative factors, and of course, that it is like there are darker aspects of that side of history, but it also did have like an undeniable influence on the arts and culture in Japan. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a history thing. Bad stuff happened in the past, but it did shape the world that we know today. So, don't know.
Well, that being said, let's not beat around the bush. What do you think about Nezuko's boobs? Okay, see? That's being hasty.
Another controversial point of this arc. Give us a rundown on what you're talking about specifically.
Like, from my point of view, it's just silly. Like, people were upset that there's a point where Nezuko powers up to, like, I guess, ultra demon mode, and she becomes, like, physically stronger, like, to a point of being, like, I guess, a woman. So she has cleavage, basically. And people did not like that. Well, I mean, I didn't really read up because I just like ignored that shit. I'm just like, because I hadn't seen Demon Slayer at the time, the second season, but I'd seen some people comment on it. And I'm like, I don't know. Just enjoy the show.
Because you had briefed me on it.
You don't even see like it's not done. I mean, Go fucking watch Wicked City, then come back to me.
Go fucking watch hentai and come back. I think, like, because you had briefed me about the controversy before I got to that part. And then, like, I was kind of waiting for it. And, like, when she transformed, I was like, is this what Tavi's talking about? Because this is not really anything. Like,
it's not.
I mean, that might be insensitive for us as men to say, but probably. Like it's like entrenched throughout anime at this point. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that it's weird that people specifically got angry about this. And it probably has something to do with like the worldwide or massive appeal of this show in particular.
Yeah, when something's really popular. I mean, there was some fucking controversy about Squid Game, which I'm not even going to get into, but like I think the issue is that Nezuko is like 14 and like...
Except sometimes she has the body of like an 8-year-old.
And like, look, there's some very transgressive manga out there. You and I have seen them at the shops when we peruse those manga stores in Akihabara.
Sure, like the upper levels of those stores.
And I'm not even going to mention because we'd probably get fucking banned off whatever platform. But there's some bad shit there. Okay, and I definitely don't agree with that kind of art because it's just...
If you want to like absolutely despise the act of lovemaking, visit a shop in Akihabara on level 7 or 8-ish is when it starts to get weird.
Yeah. That being said as well, to be upset at this is just like, man. So like, I think getting upset about like Nezuko's boobs is just like, man, you're focusing on the wrong aspect of the show and you're just kind of just looking to hate on something that is like gives a lot of people like a lot of happiness, you know. I mean, I'm talking about the fucking show.
Right,
So,
okay.
like, it's, like a long time ago, you probably not even need to worry about that shit because it's just part of anime.
Well, I don't think anybody's really worried about it, though. I don't think the producers of this show...
They don't give a fuck. Like, Japanese people don't give a shit about
still
like
making
what we
bank.
get offended by. I mean, that's why like manga and anime is on the rise.
Yeah, but there have
more so.
been movements even within the anime and manga industry.
There actually has been, but that's too much for this episode.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a thing where it's like, yeah, you want to be progressive, but also like they have such deep traditions. It is kind of hard to dictate what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. I don't think that's really for anyone to really comment on. Yeah, I don't know. Like, but this show in particular, that aspect of this show, I don't think is really anything, to be honest.
It's basically 1.5 episodes of it. And it's not even in your... Like, go watch High School of the Dead and then come back to me.
Yeah, if you want to see some exploitation, that's the show.
You know?
What do you think about the show in general? Are you jazzed for a third season of this?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. It's definitely like anytime there's a new arc, there's always that slow build up. You were talking before, like it went to a rocky start. I'm like, is this going to be as good as Mugen Train? And then I was like, well, yeah, sort of. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's going to start off with me probably, it might not be as good as Entertainment District, and then it's probably going to like blow me away, and then I'm going to be like yelling on my couch and like powering up as well.
Yeah.
Like, cause man,
you're gonna go buy a half yukata to wear.
Yeah, and this is the thing about like choosing to watch an anime adaptation over the manga. I haven't read the manga, but from what I'm led to believe, it's pretty faithful to like art style and story. But this time you can watch everything in color, everything in motion, all the like dazzling sword fights, the movement of it. So, this might piss off some Kimetsu no Yaiba fans, but the anime probably is the superior medium in this aspect because it doesn't really waste a lot of time yet, but it's just so awesome to watch just the fights. Like,
yeah, I think the movement, there's like a lot of movement in it. I think it's probably something probably similar to like when comic book readers watch an MCU film. Totally different experience, I think, where like a manga or a comic is story driven. You're kind of reading it to see what happens next. Like an anime or a movie, you get sucked in by the visuals and the motion of the fight scenes as well. So like I think it's hard to say like which one is superior to the other.
Yeah, because we haven't seen it. We haven't read it. I mean,
but I think they're probably different experiences. Like, yeah.
But I think the thing with like the comic book films is that the movies deviate and they make changes to the story and to the characters, and they're not in the interests of the people that read the comics. And they're not making those movies for the comic readers because nobody buys comics.
I think it's more like they don't want spoilers to happen. Like, if you make a movie just based purely on a comic property, anyone that's read the comic is going to be spoiling it before it comes out, Yeah, maybe. So they kind of are forced to change it a bit. Whereas for some reason or another, that doesn't really happen with anime.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, they don't really.
It's odd. There's like an unspoken agreement to not drop spoilers from the manga.
Yeah, it's just so fun to watch, really. It's so easy to watch as well, like a popcorn watching, but with like a pretty decent message as well. Like good messages you can't always be perfect. You can't save everyone, but keep trying.
I think
don't give up.
Yeah, at this point, it's good pacing as well. Like I find a lot of where shonen anime kind of drop off is when it starts to drag, and it often does start to drag. Like I haven't, like I said, I watched Bleach and Naruto, but I haven't actually finished watching either of those because
neither
they just like got to a point where it just was such a drag to watch, where like they'd have episodes where just nothing happened.
Well, episodes where half the episode is a recap of the previous episode.
Yeah, and that is where it's not just those two. Like a lot of shonen anime fall under that floor, and I hope that doesn't happen to this. I
feel like their ending anime is more. Well, I mean, ending anime is Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
But I think generally they want animes to finish, and I think people just don't like working on fillers. Yeah. And also, it's like I think the working conditions for animators is pretty bad. So they're like, if we don't need people to animate fillers, we can save some money and just focus on the main. Yeah. So maybe it's a more insidious reason. But
I don't know, because they also, fillers can be used to milk a property forever, basically. Yeah. So I don't know. Just don't do it. Just don't give us fillers. It's shit. Nobody enjoys it. Shit. The animators don't enjoy it. The viewers don't enjoy it. You'll see less return in the final seasons if you do it. Just finish it quickly.
Yeah, I think so. I generally watch animes that are 20 episodes long, or even, and that was like the enjoyable aspect of Entertainment District, is that it was only 11 episodes, so I could get it done. One final mention is I didn't like the opening intro as much as the first season, though. Like I wouldn't remember it that much, but the first.
Oh, I like the Entertainment District one. It's kind of like
it's good, but like I feel like the first one slaps harder, like slaps as hard as getting jiggy with it.
Okay.
But I really like the first anime. Like that was like, I think that was like a top song of last year, my Spotify. Like listening, yeah. It's very, just gets you in the mood to slaying demons.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's like the metal aspect of it, I guess. Whereas the second one, it's okay. I couldn't even really remember it now, because I'm the dude that like watches intros all the time and the outros. I never skip.
Really? Okay, that's
I never skip intros.
I have never watched an intro that I couldn't skip.
No, I'm that guy. Like if I'm doing an anime watch party and you skip the intro, I'm like.
I recently watched Peacemaker. James Gunn said that he was going to make an intro that was impossible to skip. I skipped it. I don't care. I don't give me I skipped it.
I've already seen the intro. I haven't even seen the show. I just watched the intro. Like, this is a cool intro. Even started watching Pachinko, because we're going to cover that.
Oh yeah,
in the future episode, and that's got a surprisingly good intro as well. Like it's very surprisingly upbeat for the kind of the theme or the sorrow that show is gonna invoke. But,
actually, the only intro that I had a hard time skipping was the Arcane intro.
Far out. I didn't even skip that intro, but it's a shit intro.
It's good, man. It's so catchy.
It's a shit song. Like the intro is fine, but when you listen to the actual song, it's fucking terrible. I can't get through more than half the song when I listen to it. I'm just like, nah, okay, that's enough. But man. Demon Slayer is good. Go watch it. I think that's. I think
probably all we've got to say about this anime until the next season comes out.
You must have you had all these questions, and then I've just gone and brushed through everything.
No, I mean that's fine. Fucking Tabi.
You've color coded things and
put a lot of work into this outline. You just throw it out from line one. Fuck.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, when I'm at the outlines, it's just 3 questions. And then you've got it like...
so I put too much work into it. It's my fault, is what you're saying, Tavi.
No, put the work into it. It's just like, I mean, if you want to put that much work into it, go ahead.
Tavi.
Anyway,
guys, what did you guys think about Demon Slayer? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it definitely rises above other shonen anime? Or do you think it's just kind of run-of-the-mill? Tell us what you thought. You can get in contact with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram at twoasianblokes if you want to see what we're up to. Thank you as always for listening, guys. Anything from you, Tavi? You good?
I had something, but then I lost it. So, yeah.
You could have used an outline for your outro, but no, I guess that was too much work. All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right, see you later, guys. We're off.